Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're back with a very interesting Zeri supplementary guide, and today we're going to be talking about AP Zeri. Not exactly full AP because we do have a Manamune in the mix, but basically nearly full AP Zeri. Now, this is a very interesting build that I kind of stole off of, I think it was the 3rd rank Zeri. There's in the top 20 Zeris, I think there's about 3 Zeris that are using this exact build, and I actually found this build really interesting and really strange because I have, of course, played AP Zeri before. There is a video on it on the channel, but I think it's nearly a year old at this point. It's basically when Zeri first released. I tried AP Zeri. I didn't think it was very good. Do I think it's good now? It's alright. It's not the best. Definitely has a niche. We'll talk more about that one in the gameplay, but for now, let's just talk a little bit about the loadout first. So the first item we're going to go for is the Manamune. So Manamune is going to give you a couple of things. First things first is going to give you the mana so you can spam your spells. Because of course AP, you're a lot more spell reliant. It's also going to give you the extra on-hit damage on your spells, which is, going to tie in with the rest of your AP build. As well as it's going to give you auto attack damage. So without your spells, AP Zeri doesn't do a lot of damage. So at least with the Manamune, you do a little bit of damage with your auto attacks. It's it's not really that good, but at least you do some damage. So of course, being AP build, we're gonna go for Boots of Mana. We got Mana Regen, Magic Pen, and Ability Power. And then the interesting thing is that most AP Zeris, or not even most, all the AP Zeris in the top builds all go for Crown as their first AP item. Now I think this is pretty interesting because normally you don't go for Crown so early, mainly because it doesn't really give you a lot of damage. It really just gives you a lot of survivability, but without any damage, survivability is not really as important at the earlier stages of the game, because if you don't do damage in the first place, there's no real point surviving now, is there? Or at least that's my logic. But I just copied the build, I followed the build. I think getting Crown early has saved me multiple times. But at the end of the day, I'm not too sure if just going for a Rift Maker into Death Cap into Crown is going to be better, just for better damage output, or having this safety is more important. But either way, all of the top players like to go for this. So they do go for Crown second item. I do think Rift Maker into Death Cap and then into Crown could be better. So obviously, third item is where you're going to go for Death Cap. This is really the point where you're going to get the max value from Death Cap, because it's going to be almost max level. So Death Cap is going to give you the 45% extra AP, of course a lot of extra AP, as well as Magic Pen. And then we go into the Rift Maker. Rift Maker of course gives you health, AP, Magic Pen, Ability Haste, and the Omnivan, which is really helpful, as well as the Void Corruption passive, which is going to help you of course to deal extra damage when you're in fights for longer, because again you can spam your Q and especially, and a little bit of your W as well. So really helpful. And finally, we're going to top off the build with an Infinity Orb. Infinity Orb is going to help you finish off those low HP enemies, and just gives you a lot of good stats basically. So for the runes, you want to actually go for First Strike, because with AP Zeri, a lot of your damage actually comes from your ulti. So First Strike is going to get you the extra ulti damage, and it's going to help you to burst people down, as well as of course your ulti into QW is going to do an insane amount of damage. You guys will see later on in the gameplay. And of course, being an AP build, we're going to go for Gathering Storm, because it's going to give us a lot of extra free AP. Of course, Giant Slayer, because it's the most efficient rune in this slot. And in this case, you can go for either Bloodline for some lifesteal, or you can also go for Alacrity if you want attack speed. Both kind of works, but since auto attacks don't do that much damage on AP Zeri anyway, I decided to go for the Bloodline. And of course, Bone Plating for the extra survivability, both in lane as well as in the later stages of the game. And for the spells, same as usual, we're going for Flash, and Ghost is really good as well for the extra mobility. Of course, Exhaust is also an option as well, especially because AP Zeri running around and is not so important, because you don't your auto attacks don't do as much damage as the normal AD Zeri. But anyways, with all that out the way, let's hop into the gameplay. Okay, so now moving on to the gameplay. Now, first things first that we're going to cover is why AP Zeri? Why not just go for AP Kaisa, AP Varus, Corki, or something else? Well, the long story short is, I think that this build is generally better in mid lane. So I actually played this build first when I got Zeri in mid lane, and I played it quite a number of times mid lane. It actually does perform pretty well in mid lane, because you basically become a mage. Zeri basically becomes a mage because her main damage is from her QW and her ulti, and not from her auto attacks at all. So it does work in mid lane. I managed to play a game in mid lane where I was 20-0, and I was completely destroying the enemy team. One QW is killing people, etc. So here you can see the immediate problem, which is the fact that I'm flashing over the wall here, and the fact that I have first strike, so I don't have Conquer or Lethal Temple, so I don't actually do any kind of meaningful damage in a long drawn out fight. Like, in a short trade, I do trade very well, but in a long fight, I don't. So, I end up having to blow my flash, but in doing so, I end up winning the trade because you can see Samira is actually pretty low. So, as I said, it's normally better in the mid lane. It, of course, can work in the ADC role as well, which is what I'm doing here. Now, honestly, long story short is, I just liked... I just felt like playing Zeri, you know, in AP, and I just did that. Obviously, that's because my team has no AP. You can see we have a Set, Talon, and Vi. They don't do any AP. Of course, Nami does a little bit of AP damage, but not too significant. So, we did decide to go for the AP Zeri and stuff like Kai'Sa, Corki, Varus, or whatnot, like all the other AP options that are out there. But yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about AP Zeri itself. So, AP Zeri itself. Where does your damage come from? Well, basically, if you take a look and you read Zeri's, you know, stats and stuff very carefully, you will notice that your auto attacks don't scale with AP at all. It scales with AD. Your Q scales with AP, but your AD scaling is better. Your W scales with AP as well, but I believe your AD scaling is better as well. The only place I believe, if I remember correctly, where your AP scaling is actually better is your ultimate. So, if you build AP, your ultimate is going to do a lot more damage than if you build AD. And also, on your W, if you build AP, you're also going to be doing, I believe, more damage than if you build AD, because I think it's bonus AD or something like that. Well, basically, long story short is, the main important part about AP Zeri is your skills, obviously, because you basically, as I said, become a mage. So your ultimate is going to do significantly more damage than usual. And because of that, that's where your main damage comes from. Now, before we talk too much about that, we're going to take a look at the gank from Vi here. Vi is charging, she's going in onto the Samira. Hits level 5, cease and desist onto the Samira. Samira dashes back in for some reason and, you know, goes down. Here, Akshan is now, you know, basically chasing us. She ults the 1 HP Vi. Nami tries to block, but ends up dying as well. And Vi, you know, dies as well. Now, I could have tried to block here, honestly, but I was really low as well. I definitely couldn't tank the whole ultimate. I could have tanked maybe a few shots, but I didn't want to take the risk, so I did not, you know, do that. But okay, so back to the conversation about the damage. So, AP Zeri's main damage is definitely from her ultimate. So, with AP Zeri, you have this very weird playstyle where you want to have your first strike ready, and you want to jump into the enemy team, like with your E, for example, and just ult them. Because that massive explosion off of your ult is where your main damage comes from. Immediately following that, you want to immediately, you know, hit your Q and your W onto a target and burst them down. Now, this is like what's going to happen most of the time, because your ult does the most damage, and then of course your Q and W does a lot of damage as well. So you're going to one-shot, you know, a couple of people. So now there is a more optimal version of doing this, but this is really hard to pull off. And the optimal version of doing this is to W through a wall, like what I'm doing here, is you W through a wall, and the W hits hopefully multiple people, and then you dash in over the wall with your E, pop your ulti, and then pop your Q. This is going to give you the maximum amount of damage because your W hits multiple people, your ult hits multiple people, and your Q hits multiple people, hopefully. Whereas with the normal one, where you just dash in with your ulti and then you, you know, QW or WQ, your W is only going to be able to hit one person because you're not shooting it through a wall. But as I said, you don't want to be too greedy about it because it's really hard to do the best case combo, which is to W through a wall and then dash over the wall and then ult and then Q. Really, really unlikely to happen, so let's just not think about that. So here you can see I'm going in with the dash in into the ulti. That's kind of the basic start of the combo. And here we nearly died to Samira. We live on like a sliver of HP. Obviously, Samira early game when she gets her ult, incredibly powerful, and Samira honestly one of the most OP ADCs at the moment. We are able to complete our mana mune here, and of course we're going to be spamming the spells to charge up our mana mune a little bit more quickly. So, you know, now that we've covered why AP Zeri works and how, you know, to play AP Zeri, we can focus a little bit more about talking about the actual gameplay. But of course, just take note again that if you want an AP option in the duo lane, there are a lot more better options. Probably the best is like AP Kai'Sa. Of course, we have like AP Corki. You know, Corki building AD but does AP damage. You know, even some of the mages are better options because essentially Zeri's like a fake mage basically. So here we managed to chunk Samira out really, really low. That's kind of one of the benefits of, you know, the AP Zeri, which is the fact that you can, you know, burst people down really, really quickly because again you become like a mage. You can one-shot people. And here for some reason Karma decides to ult me instead of like, basically if she like EW'd me there, I would have gotten caught and I would have been hit by a Q and maybe even her ultimate, but she basically messes up her entire combo, which actually allows me to not only live, but you can see with Nami heal and the fruit, I'm basically back to full HP. So yeah, probably should have died there, but you know, Karma, massive mess up on her part. And now we're just going to be able to farm a couple of more minions before we, you know, want to go back to base or do anything else. Of course, Dragon is currently still up. And Herald already gone by the Vi. Enemy team is not even doing the Dragon, so that's nice. I was trying to help out with the skull, but actually end up stealing the skull instead. Now you don't really want to do that because jungle gets more XP from skull, so a little bit too eager to help out there, ends up stealing the skull instead. So here I tried to go in with the ulti, but I end up hitting only Pantheon, so not really the best example of what's supposed to happen here. Now here I get knocked up by Ornn. I eat a little bit of the action out to help out my teammates, because this time I am healthy enough to actually block, and now I'm free firing onto the Ornn. I hop over the wall. You can see that I am auto attacking, but it's not doing a lot of damage because again I'm building AP and my mana mune hasn't evolved into mirror mana yet. So this is honestly just kind of Zeri base damage coming into play here. Of course Zeri's base damage is not bad. She is an ADC of course, and she does have decent base damage. And of course we also get some semblance of stats from the mana mune itself. So our attacks are going to be doing a little bit of damage, but not too much damage. Of course when your spells are down, you can auto attack to just sort of, you know, at least do some damage. It's better than no damage. But if it's too risky for you to attack, honestly just better to just back off and wait for your spells, because your auto attacks tickle the enemies, and you know, if you can't do meaningful damage, it's not worth the risk to step up. Here Samira gets caught. I have to actually dodge out a little bit here because Karma is trying to combo with her ulti, so we are gonna have to be a little bit cautious. We do see Vi here now, so we are trying to look for we were trying to look for a fight, but turns out she's just here to actually put down the Herald. Unfortunately the plates are already gone, so we don't actually get any plates from the Herald. It's just for the charge. Now my team is starting up the Dragon, but I'm really low, Vi is really low, and Talon is also really low, so I don't think we should be doing this Dragon, which is why I'm back. I back you know, all the way to base, and I actually ping them off. Now thankfully they are smart enough to not actually contest the Dragon. A lot of teams just blindly contest the Dragon even though they're not in the position to do it. If they did, they probably would have all ended up dying, and that would have been a horrible situation. So we do end up giving the Dragon to the enemy team. It's only Mountain Dragon anyways, and if they get Soul, it's only Mountain Soul. It really doesn't matter because Mountain Soul is probably the most useless one. Actually not probably, it is the most useless one out of all of them. So here we are gonna just clear out the minions. Here you can see I actually dashed for an ulti to burst down the minions because I did think I was diveable. Like if Karma just goes in and roots me, Samira can combo me and I will actually die in the tower. I'm not sure if they know that or not, but I definitely know that. So I'm not gonna take the risk. I'm just gonna use my ulti to basically clear the wave and get a little bit of first strike gold as well. So here we're just going to clear up minions. Tower is really low, so we are going to see if we can get the tower. We are trying, so we actually body block some of the shots. But here you can see we are trying to do a little bit of damage to her. We're not just hopping the wall to see if we can help out our Nami here. We flash forward, Pantheon goes down, and we're trying to chase Akshan with the Ghost. We can see our auto attacks don't really do damage, and we already used our burst. Now Samira is coming in. Here you can see we managed to pop the Q onto her head, and then we actually managed to pick up the kill. Now this should give us enough gold to actually go back and pick up Crown. Now we've survived on like 1 HP a couple of times this game already, so that has to be a little bit frustrating for the enemy team. I would be pretty pissed off if I were them as well. Now here you can see, if you guys didn't see that, you can rewind 5 seconds. What you might notice is that I actually bought a Blasting Wand and I undid it and bought 2 M-Tomes instead, because if you guys didn't know, Blasting Wand gives you 45 AP, whereas 2 M-Tomes give you 25 plus 25, which is 50. So by buying 2 M-Tomes, you actually get 50 AP instead of 45 AP from the Blasting Wand, which is one of the very weird cases where buying sub-components is more efficient than buying the actual you know, main component, or rather, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like, you know, normally the more better items you have, the more stat efficient it is, but in this case it's kind of not, so that's just really weird. Fight is breaking out in the mid lane, so I'm trying to rotate over there to see if I can help them out. I'm of course going to go the cautious way. Although I say that, I go in with the ult, you can see I one-shot the Pantheon. That's kind of how this is supposed to work. I get 155 first strike gold just from that one shot. as well. Talon going in for the one shot on Akshan ends up dying instead. Not really what we're looking for here. But here you can see the damage onto the Samira. I W her and to slow her down, and then we dash forward, Q auto. She actually nearly dies from like about 2/3 health. So that's kind of the AP damage from from Zeri. We of course have our first AP item as well as the boots and also some M-Tome. So we are doing some kind of meaningful damage now. Just helping Vi get the blue buff. Of course, being an AP champion, having blue buff is really good for the ability haste, for the mana, and all the good stuff. So here we're trying to see if we can get a catch onto the Ornn. I try to get the Aftershock laser onto him to get the damage and the slow, but he dodges out, and I'm just going to go back. Or I was going to go back until I realized that there was a fight going to break out here. I dash over the wall knowing that Ornn is going to tackle me, and I'm able to avoid that. I still have the crown, so I know that I'm safe. I go in with the ulti, I get 2 people down, and my crown finally breaks from the Karma. Get 2 kills, and now Akshan is ulting me. Not too important though. Pantheon actually ults behind, and he's just gonna get taken care of like that. We go legendary. Now Akshan's the next target. He flashes away with 1 HP, and yeah. So during all this time, Talon has been pushing top lane. So we are gonna probably get top tower. We are also gonna get bot tower. So just winning all across the map, and you can really see how AP Zeri works and how it is actually good, because you can really one-shot people now. So I guess AP Zeri does have kind of an upside compared to like AP Kai'Sa or like AP Varus, things like that. Like AP Varus, you have to get your stacks on people and you have to pop the stacks. Whereas AP Kai'Sa, you have to like auto attack people, and you can really only burst like one person down very easily because you can only really target single people. Whereas with AP Zeri, you are a lot more like an AoE mage. You can, one-shot multiple people at the same time if they stand close together, because you ulti them and you Q them. They are all gonna get one-shot all together, because of that combo. And it is of course very possible, very easy to do that if they're standing together, which a lot of fights they are, because like imagine like this Dragon Pit, they are gonna stand close together because Zeri's ulti was not really balanced around AP. It's really more balanced around AD. It's meant for you to pop the bonus auto attacks and bonus damage and stuff. It's not meant to burst people down like that. Enemy team does a really sick play of trading Baron for Dragon. Like, they knew we were gonna go Dragon, so they actually snuck a Baron while we were doing Dragon. I rarely see that. Rarely see teams do that. So I kind of course, in the match I'm like, oh no, but like, now on the replay I'm like, yeah, that was a really smart move. I mean, even in the match I knew that was a very smart move, but not a lot of teams do that. So here you can see me flash in for the ulti, which does huge damage onto all of them basically, and we basically kill everybody except for Akshan once again. Akshan last man standing. Akshan is 9-1-3 by the way, so we want to be very careful of him because he can easily kill us and stuff. And if you guys notice, Akshan is actually going for a Maw, and the only person on my team who does AP damage is me. So he must have noticed that I'm building AP, and he has actually gone Maw to counter me, which is which is something, because it's only countering one champion, so it's kind of not really efficient to do that. But on the other hand, I'm so fed that it kind of makes sense for him to do that. So I can see where he's coming from. But yeah, I kind of feel honored about that, I guess you could say, because it really is only to counter me. So Karma's getting caught in the mid lane. We're trying to see if we can go for it and get at least an assist. Karma flashes away, so no assist for us because there isn't even a kill. Speaking of which, Talon actually comes in for that kill. Here the wave is stacking up. Pantheon is here as well. I use the laser to try to thin the wave. Of course, with the Baron buff, really hard to kill the minions. Pantheon is now running for the hill. Set is going for the Pantheon. Pantheon tries to ult out somehow. Set doesn't actually cancel his ult. I thought Set would actually cancel his ult there. I was ready to follow up, but nothing ends up happening. A few enemies are here. Nami catches them out with the wave into the bubble. I get the Ultra Shock Laser in, dashing over the wall with the ulti, and that's basically the dream combo that I was referring to. In this case, it was easy because Nami had CC'd them, so I can just W the CC people, hop the wall, and ulti. You can see the huge damage. We basically just one-shot the Pantheon and as well as the Akshan with the combo, and yeah, you can see how much crown value we're getting. Also, like we're normally not getting hit by anything, and then when the crucial spell comes in, we actually just block it with the crown. So here we are able to get a couple of inhibs. Look at the damage on the Ornn, by the way. Like, one W does like half of his HP. Like, the W damage at this point is insane with the death cap and all that. You can see here. Here we're actually kind of caught out, so we're actually ghosting out. Of course, popping the W to try to chunk people out. Here you can see Samira's like at half health. Boom! One W, she just gets one shot instantly. That's how insane the W damage is. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I wasn't expecting to kill Samira there. I thought, like, you know, we can just get a chunk on Samira, scare her off because she was chasing us. And I pop the W, she walks into it, and she just dies, which honestly surprised me in the game when I was playing it, of course in a very happy way. But that was really surprising, the Zeri damage. I mean, I told you guys I have played this build quite a number of times before, but I was not expecting this amount of damage, you know, in this particular match. So here we're gonna just pick up the blue buff. And honestly, as long as we hang back, toss our spells out, you know, it's all good. But of course, as I said, your ult is your main damage, so it is a little bit dangerous with the AP Zeri because you kind of have to be inside the team, enemy team, to do damage. Sort of like Samira or Sway. Of course, in this case, you can always dash in, ulti, and flash back out, something like that, you know, to kind of get your damage down, but at the same time try to remain safe. But of course, that's, you know, a little bit challenging to do because it requires a lot of extra resources. Anyways, Ornn is getting distracted by Vi here. The Karma is down, and here we're just going to focus the base and just end the game right here. Obviously, because no one is alive to stop us except Ornn, who's getting distracted. So here we pick up the dub. No deaths this game, did really well. And obviously we did a ton of damage as well, as you guys will see. As I leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.